This is the tutorial for exercise 26F in your beginning AutoCAD workbook. Okay, so for exercise 26F, we're going to create a master decimal setup template that we'll use for other exercises. So to do 26F, you have to go all the way back to the beginning of 26A and work through the exercises. So 26A, the first thing we're going to do is select New and ACAD.dwt. Make sure it doesn't have any of these other things after it, 3D or any of that, just ACAD. Okay, so you have a brand new empty file. So let's select units. We're going to get our setup done here. And I'm going to work with inches. So I want decimal, I want 3-point precision. Okay, everything else is okay. Then I want to do limits. I want 0, 0 as my lower left. My lower right, I want 11, 8.5. And I'm just going to double click to zoom all and make sure that my grid is turned on. We're going to go into our display settings, so DS. We're going to go to Snap and Grid, and we want to make sure that these say 0.25, that our spacing is set to 1, major line every 4, and I want these turned off. Okay. Okay. On your line weight settings down at the bottom, right click on that and select line weight settings, or you could go all the way back in through options, but just right click on your button on your access bar, it's quicker. We want inches, we want display line weight, and we want to pull this back. They have it set to just below the halfway mark. So we'll pull it over to about where they have it. And okay. Okay, so now for exercise 26A, we have to create layers, because if we look up here, we don't have any layers. So it says we're going to have to create layers, and we're going to have to load new line types, center 2, hidden, and phantom 2. Okay, so to create your line types, what you need to do, go into your layer properties. If you don't remember how to create line types, go back and check lesson number 3. Okay, so you're going to go through and you're going to create these layers. Make sure that your viewport layer, your print, is turned to off. Make sure you add your center, your hidden, and your phantoms. Change your line weights and set up your colors. And once you're done, make your object line layer your current layer. Okay, the next thing that we have to do for exercise 26A is to create a new text style. So we're going to go annotate. We're going to go to our text panel, hit our little flyway, select new, name it Text Classic, and then we want to make sure that we have it set up as sans serif. Annotative has to be turned on, and your text height is going to be 0. So make sure the annotative is turned on. Once you're done, set current and close. The next thing we need to do is create a dimension style. So you're going to go to your Dimension tab, select your flyaway, select New. You're going to call it Dim Decimal. You're going to make sure that Annotative is turned on. And then you need to go through the tabs and set them up to match what's shown in the Dimension Style Manager in your book. So once you're done, we want set current and close. Okay, so now, very important, we want to make sure we save. So save as. They ask you to save it as a template. You can save it as a template if you want, but I'd suggest just saving it as a drawing file for. Okay, so that takes us through exercise 26A. So once you've done your save as. For exercise 26B, we have to work on doing a page setup. So you already have your Desmos setup file open. You want to then, on Layout tab number 1, right-click and bring up the Page Setup Manager. Okay, so your Page Setup Manager, you want to do New. We're going to do Setup A under the name. Select the default output device. If that's your printer, just pick your printer. Since you're probably doing it at home, you could pick your own printer. If not, just select Layout 1. Okay, so then in here, go through, set up your printer, select letter size, make sure that these are plot offset, that they're both set to 0. We want our scale at 1:1. We want it to say inches. Right now they have the plot style left at none, so we'll leave that alone. You'll end up using monochrome, but we'll just leave it set the same as what they have for now. We want to make sure that we have plot object line weights, plot with plot styles, and plot paper space last, so these 3, and landscape. Then OK. Select your Setup A, set current, and close. Okay, so now your Layout 1 tab, you should have a sheet of paper displayed on your screen. The sheet is the size you specified in the page setup, and the sheet is in front of your model space. So just right click on that tab, your Layout tab, and rename it to A size. And then save. Save your drawing again. Okay, so for exercise 26C, you're going to have to switch to your borderline layer. So you're going to use your borderline layer and you're going to use text, and you're just going to draw on your paper space. You're not going to make any views, don't worry about that. So set up your border inside, make sure everything is inside these dotted lines. Keep everything inside those dotted lines because that's the actual printable paper size. So keep everything inside there. It says to use when you're setting up your title block. It gives you sizes for everything. To use justify middle center. And once you get that all set up, make sure you save again. Okay, so exercise 26D. This time, we're going to create our viewport. So we're on our Desmo setup file. We're on our A size tab. We're going to switch to our viewport layer. We're going to type MV for make view. We're going to put our first corner up here inside of our border. So make sure your snaps are turned off. We're going to bring our second corner down inside our border just above our title block. Okay. Okay, so we're going to confirm. We're going to click inside it, confirm that our model button is showing down at the bottom because we clicked inside our viewport, we activated it. We're going to zoom all inside of our viewport. We're going to change our viewport scale to 1:1. And then we're going to, very important, lock our viewport. Okay. Then you can go ahead and save again as exercise 26D. Or save as your, your regular Desmo setup. Okay, so the last part before the final exercise, 26E, is plotting from layout. So we have our Desmo setup file open. We're going to select our A size tab. We're going to right click on it. We're going to select plot. If you get an error, mine's because it's looking for a printer I don't have here. Okay, so then go through, set up everything to match the settings that are shown in your book. So whatever printer it is that you're using. Make sure you have letter, make sure you have layout, your offset is set to 0, scale is set to 1:1, we have inches, we want to switch to monochrome for our pen assignments. We want plot objects, plot transparency, plot styles, paper space, landscape, and then you want to hit preview. So preview is going to show you exactly what is going to print. So you're not going to see that box for the viewport that you drew, because when you set up your layers, you turned the printer off on the viewport layer. Okay, so as long as it looks okay, you can right click and hit exit, or just hit your X up at the top. Okay, so now hit apply to layout. So all those settings are saved to that tab for the next time you want to use it. And just say OK. If your computer's not connected to a printer, select the cancel button to close the plot dialog box. Selecting cancel will cancel your selected setting if you did not add the page setup, which you did, so you'll be okay. It'll still be there. Okay, we want to switch to our object layer, it says. And save for the last time. Okay, so you're now ready to do exercise 26F. Okay, so exercise 26F, you're going to use your MyDesmal setup file. Make sure that you switch back to the Model tab. And you're going to draw the figure for exercise 26F. So once you've drawn the figure for 26F, this is what you should have shown in your model space. Okay, so once you're finished drawing, you're going to select your A-size tab, and you're going to create 3 viewports. So MV, and then draw your viewport. I'll just do one of them here. Okay, so just to remind you, MV, viewport. I'm going to go from, I guess, somewhere around here over to here. And click inside there, and I can move things around to where I want them to be. Okay. Once you have it set how you want it, so once your viewport is set, make sure you hit lock. Keep everything in position. And then save it as exercise 26F. If you're connected to a plotter, you can go ahead and plot using the plot setup that you did in the earlier part of exercise 26. If not, just save it. So that completes exercise 26F. That's the end of the tutorial for exercise 26F.